knows Venezuela, our country, the friend's country, that Venezuela has been under constant siege of the imperialism with their allies, which they don't have any sense of shame, and the Venezuelan state has the obligation of take decisions to defend itself. And I'm certain that already are set images of the armament that is only a sample of the capture and retrieved in intelligence operations of our country. Venezuela is guaranteeing the peace of the Bolivarian government, and I want to inform this not as a way to alarm our people at the country, is to maintain it informed what the Bolivarian revolution is doing to maintain the peace in our country. I want to put the disposition in three main aspects. The first is the armament subject, which origin entered to Venezuela comes from United States of America, comes from United States. The way as it's been happening already, this weapons has a lot to depend on the operations that are normally performed by the government of the United States through the institutions that work to generate the chaos or to create chaos, to destabilize in some countries. These weapons try to enter Venezuela by a regular way to normal, and the information got to us and we started intelligence work and to trace it until we get to the first point. These weapons here are a part of 400 fossils and pistols that are being seized in this case. And I want to start here because in the end everything is resumed to the threats of our country from several places in the world are working against our country, and this is taught with the detection of these shipments, the capture, the operation that you can see over here. We did the following. We get the responsible, and they were using names, and there were certain names of people. By example, like Diosdado Cabello, it wasn't Diosdado Cabello, it was another person, but it was the name that were used to not be followed. And this is an operation made by people that are used to do this kind of operation. The government of the United States is aware of this operation. You remember among the threats that are being placed on us are the murders of some people, and this is bound to after these operations are this fastest people, the armed traffic operation. He knows perfectly of what I'm talking about. And by this capture of these weapons in Venezuela, in other countries they're been carrying out actions, even murdering people. Over 400 machine guns of different kinds have been retrieved to be used here in Venezuela. This is a network that we have already a group of detainees here in Venezuela that are a part of this network. After we did another operation to retrieve weapons and people that had weapons in their houses, bind in with the violent acts that they were thinking to generate, and actually they generate in the last election of July 28th. You remember on the 29th and 30th what happened here in Venezuela? We even know that the government of the United States is binding. That's why I say in this binding with this operation, because in the investigation that we carried out, we know that even in Orlando, Florida, in this services, the FBI was there in the shipments, and we have the videos. This is a AK-47. That's the FBI and one of the shipment services. They got the weapons? No. They took prisoners? No. They allowed that this operation to move. And then here in Venezuela, when they started to arrive, they were training in carriers and dog foods and bags, dismantle, and the groups receive it here and have the mission to reassemble. And we have the videos how here in Venezuela we went to the different places to find the weapons and the homeworking. We can see it here. They were arriving. Rifles. Can you keep playing the videos, please? Here we have it. Taken from the boxes, out of the boxes. And they're trying to test the kind of rifle that it was. We have another one, right? How do we operate to get the information that we've been working, the threats that are being placed upon our country, and we get to this amount of rifles, more than 400 rifles. What was the purpose of these rifles? And we get to the second point. These rifles weren't for a display or show. This were made to use for terrorist acts here in Venezuela. Terrorism promoted by political sectors in Venezuela. You can think that it's the despair or the disconnection with the reality of a country that wants to live in peace. And some days ago, we captured some people that by chance, we say by chance, but it's intelligence work, we're speaking about to launch grenades and explosives in the Argentinian embassy, where our refugees, terrorists from the opposition, of course, this was turning perfectly to the fact that it's been under attack the Argentinian embassy where the opposition people are, it was going to be immediately the government to blame. These people, we have already some detainees of this operation. We can see the pictures of the detainees. These people, because of this precise operation, but further than that, are the bonds of them. And started to appear a lady called Belén Salas, aka La Niña, and Diosdado, and a citizen and then we started to make the activities work to citizen called Jose Miguel Estrada, condemned by the facts of the magnicides against the attempt of magnicide against Nicolás Maduro. On August 4th, this person was detained, and we entered there, and some phones were found, and started to appear groups on WhatsApp and other social networks. These groups we found to one of the detainees, and then we go to inside of the groups and we found in the voicemail another detainee called Luis Humberto. The facade of the groups almost always was groups of religious character. It was the facade, but inside of the group, what it was being transmitted, it was information to murder, to cause terrorist acts in Venezuela. Surprise. In the phone of the citizen, Yanis Martinez appeared to be binded with Caro Alfonso, which is detained in the United States to cause the death of a person in an accident, and we are aware of this, and we started to get information in different prisons of Venezuela where subjects that were called the leaders of these operations remembered the following: weapons, rifles, who is going to use it, how is it going to be used, when is it going to be used, with which purpose is going to be used, and they are detained, and according to the groups of the detained citizens, start the investigation, the full investigation of the subject. Started to appear the leaders with political binding, and there's not a secrecy for no one that Kerry was in the United States with Juan Guaido, is a protege of him, and once in a while they organize protests in the United States in favor of Maria Corina Machado. We get to detain to the contact of 14 citizens in the inside of the phones. We found bindings for explosive, the purchase of explosive and sort of civilians in the prison to take the streets, to take these weapons. Venezuela must remember the 28th, 29th of July, when the call of the criminal groups were manifesting their support to Maria Corina and Mundo Gonzalez. And with this, I want to make clear in a statement: the United States knows how to perform this operation of destabilization. They have started a great international campaign with the subject of Aragua train, and why they don't detain them? Why they don't imprison them? Why they're living with them? These people, these 14, had in their phones all the information of the plan. You can see here another group of WhatsApp under the name of Christian Church for the Words of the Lord, and then we have the detention orders, and we have another new name for the politics that is already known, Jorman Varillas. Jorman Varillas, a citizen, is known by Venezuela, is known in Zulia, is the one to blame in a murder in the Zulia University, ran away from Venezuela, and after being binded directly with this young man murder. Johan Mambarilla appears here and appears further in other groups. Weapons, explosive, who is going to use it? And Venezuela knows, and the world knows that since a while, coming certain groups in the world that are offering to liberate Venezuela. They don't act alone. If they never act alone. After behind of these groups are operating intelligence organisms from another countries. All of this is letting us, and we're making an extra effort in the borders. And nowadays we have captured under the government, the national government controls, and in custody being integrated, compliant with a thing that is not being fulfilled in other countries, which is the human rights. And we're shaping here the weapons, the explosive, the leaders, and the yells. Were detained recently 2 Spanish citizens in Puerto Ayacucho, Jose Maria Badovinos and Andrés Martinez Adasme in Puerto Ayacucho. We have it there. Near the airport of Puerto Ayacucho. When a regular situation, taking pictures, they were captured, were found in their phones bound with, and I'm going to say it now, with a lady called Maria Teresa Clavijo from Aragua, leader of 20 Venezuela in the Aragua state, bound to the so-called comanditos, to the Mr. Jordan Enrique Varilla, newly again, another lady called Jessica Isabela Ponte Figuera, which is detained. She participated actively in the violent events. We have even a picture of her in a hood in a manifestation. If we have it here, please display it. A manifestation in Upata, she lives there. The contact of these 2 Spaniards they ask her through the phone how they do to get the explosive and the groups to make the special works, and in her phone in direct communication they plan the murder of the Upata major. He's a revolutionary major and direct bonds with Mr. It is the same Jessica Isabella Pontes Figuera from the Comandita Supaca. We have another picture for that. We have it here on the manifestations day. All of this I'm asking please, because at the end we're going to put everything together. Two Spanish citizens. This citizen had, and we know that they're going to say no, that is a lie, but they have ties with the National Intelligence Center of Spain, ties with the National Intelligence Center of Spain, and they can say that they don't have it, but we have the evidence that they do. These people, these citizens from Spanish origin, are detained and they are informing and making statements, and the task that they were going to perform is really clear there. And then we capture to the Mr. Jan Dalmansar, please. The citizen. The citizen is from Czech origin. We found in his telephone also this has a particular way, and but we're been working on that. And it appears again Yorma Marilla, and appears again Lady Maria Teresa Clavijo, and another name that we didn't think at first, but you will know who is. It's called Wilmer Joseph Castañeda. It appears, and who's this Mr. Jan Dalmosale? Who was doing? What was doing? Can you display the photo? We see it here, Mr. John Dalmosal. And if you have another one, you can display it as well. John Dalmosal is a part of teams of mercenaries that operated in the world, was detained here in Venezuela. They are part of a group self-called Aseta Command, and we have the people that are part of this group. They are part of this group. And then do you remember that I mentioned to Wilmer Joseph Castañeda? Wilfer Joseph Castañeda. Who is Wilfer Joseph Castañeda? It is a character that you can see here with the uniform in the left picture. Father of 4 kids, North American, since 2009, belongs to the Navy SEALs forces that are special operators of air, land, and sea. Do you remember that a couple days ago they say that they have a North American citizen detained on the White House? You can imagine the level of this citizen for the White House expressed itself publicly. They already did it in another levels, but it is the White House, the one that takes the defense of this Mr. But he said it was without permission. He said it before. It is normal to say it. It wasn't personal tasks. It will appear that it's normal that the United States goes away military from these characteristics, active military, and didn't inform And I'm going to speak a little bit of this Mr. so we can locate it also better. He was in Virginia studying as a part of the group number 4 with the specialty of the explosive specialist. Then it was changed to the group number 7 in San Diego, California, the special training specialized in weapons, urban combat, rural combat, explosive specialists. In 2010 in Afghanistan. In 2014 he was in Iraq during 6 months. And in 2021 he traveled to Colombia with a group of 10 people, being the logistic operator of the group with the end of interchange knowledge. I'm sure that they have report in Colombia of the presence of this citizen. It's normal because United States has 7 military bases in Colombia at least. We can see another picture of the training of this. In this journey to Colombia, he was as a tenant with a tenant, Carlos Núñez, that he was with him, and his comrade on this trip was Joseph John Sachs, Joseph John Sachs, the one. It's a part of the 10 that were in Colombia. This gentleman, how it appears in this history, this gentleman goes closer to lady, Venezuelan lady. If you can see it, of the Venezuelan lady of Maracay who is detained. I will give you the name right now. This young lady received the name it is important to know who she is. Let me see the full name of her. It's called Daisy Hugles Gonzalez, a Venezuelan that was over there in Colombia. Daisy Hugles Gonzalez was partner of a Mr. El Tren de Aragua that was murdered in Colombia. And this person, the mercenary Joseph Castañeda, made contact with her to make contact with the Araguan Tren in Venezuela. Operative contact with this organization. This gentleman in his phone, with Wilbur Joseph, has ties with Angel Daniel Pereira, the murdered man, with Belén Sales, Jesus Chirino. It appears again María Teresa Clavijo with Carlos Andrade, and with AKA El Flaco. All they haven't been identified yet. All of them belong to criminal groups. El Flaco is in the United States, and AKA Petare is always also there. A lot of people here is wondering, as they live it on the 29th and 30th with the capture of some people, and they were saying, I left Venezuela and came back. I was out of Venezuela and came back. came back. See that La Nina, aka La Nina, appears again. The grenades. We have over there Venezuelan, aka La Nina. She was in Colombia as exiled. We have the pictures here. She has political ties of who are in front of this process of attack against the Venezuelan people. And then we captured her to 2 citizens, one North American, Aaron Barrett Logan, and his partner, which is Venezuelan, Astrid Imperatriz Ortega. These 2 are hackers. Those are hackers. They were coming. We can see that in his phone. We have a contact with Dago Santa Marta. He has a contact. And to Dago Santa Marta explained that Venezuela was going to be very easy because the security organisms, they don't have security, but you were captured where they don't have security. He and his wife. And then we capture a United States citizen, Estrella Amid, which is detained today. And yesterday, of course, you know that I won't give all the details because it's part of the ongoing investigation, and the security organism knows that are involved in this, that we know more that we're saying, because that's the reason why we're here now. And this has 2 sources mainly. One that doesn't surprise us by any chance, which is CIA in front of this, and the other one that is not a surprise either, but it usually has a lower profile, which is the National Center of Intelligence of Spain. These 2 cultures are saying it and even are speaking of a group of mercenaries that are located to take it to Venezuela to murder to President Nicolas Maduro and Delcy Rodriguez, to myself and another groups of comrades that are leaders of our party and our revolution. And they have contacted French mercenaries, Eastern Europe mercenaries, and they are in an operation to try to attack our country. They speak about the weapons. Yesterday, the defense minister of Spain had a race attack against Venezuela in Acrosanin. The CIA behind of all these operations of contacts and armed trafficking is Simon Milk, which has direct ties that are named Juan Pablo Guanipa, that we saw in the picture, Carlos Vecchio, Julio Borges, Maria Corina Machado, from these operations of violence against our country. We, from here in Venezuela, we demand to the government of the United States to clear the participation of its organisms. They clear the usage of its territory to traffic weapons to defeat a government which is democratic and being elected by its people. That's why we rejoice a lot in the Honduran act supporting the president. They are attacking any way of government where the ideology is not the one that are they're trying to spread their proposal, and the governments from the left or progressive governments are being attacked, directed by United States government. United States is behind of this operation. United States is giving these weapons and is letting to circulate freely in the United States to come here to Venezuela as a part of an operation. The National Intelligence Center of Spain is promoting the gathering of terrorists to come here to Venezuela. Their agents are confessing here in Venezuela. This Mr. Castañeda is not just anyone. Castañeda is the boss of the operation designed by the CIA. That's why the White House was feeling almost like a stroke by the capture of the citizens. We know that there's a capture and it has direct tie with criminal groups in Venezuela. You can show me the one you put it before. This is a conversation of Castañeda with aka El Flaco. In his phone to attack. They're speaking about murder as if they were speaking of something natural, and probably in these bodies we are active. How we're going to do it? We're going to kill even the dog. We want to happen this night. Well, they're speaking. They have initiated that Maduro 1 is going to light up Venezuela. Tell me more. Venezuela is a war center, and the neighborhoods are trying to get the one in the palace. You have to get to the palace. And they say that the collectives are killing off a lot of people. The people with weapons has to be organized and take an offensive. As soon as they start to die, the ones that are protecting the palace are going to run. They're going to notice that it's not worth it because they don't even themselves want it. This is the conversation between both Castañeda and El Flaco. He is saying that he was here for a big operation in Venezuela but didn't have a date. And it's important to remember when the operation of the president of the National Assembly, Jorge Rodriguez, was exposed with name and last name, and they carried away and wouldn't stop it. And we have denounced several times the murder attempts of the president Nicolas Maduro, and they're not stopping. We have denounced the attacks to the Bolivarian armed forces, and they're not stopping. So we're going to give a right response. Among the plans are terrorist attacks, or they're saying to the installation of water supply, electric supply, and transportation. Systems attack to the organisms of the state. And we have lived in the last few days how they attempt to hack the pages of the state organism. I want the world to know, and this we are saying strongly, that Venezuela is under imperialism siege, that Venezuela is being attacked from the United States, that is allowing the use of its territory to arm groups. By example, we found that they released Justin Guido. Where is it? What it was offered to him. What it was offered to him. And the audience, and it's public and international, the fight that they have, the groups of organizations to come to Venezuela to release it. The fight for the money. We're waiting here. We're waiting here. We want the world to know that we are going to use every needed mechanism to repel, to defeat these mercenary groups of terrorists that are attempting to strike on the peace and order of Venezuela, and we will be extremely tight and severe on the defense of the security and peace of Venezuela, and to our people to be confident, because we are active, because a lot of this has been got through popular intelligence and people that inform us of weird things, and we act immediately. That our people needs to have confidence in our government and the institutions, that we will never let the homeland to get lost from our hands. The action that is being executed by the United States is not new for us. That they are moving at this time after the July 28th election is not new. They never recognize our triumph. And the ones from the opposition that are tied here because they are confessing these gentlemen, their ties with opposition groups, the justice will get to you. You can be certain of this. Well, if you have any questions. First question from Venezuelan television. Good afternoon. President Nicolás Maduro in several opportunities have denounced that the government of the United States from the support with the DAA and the CIA has used the elections of the 28th of July to move into a multidimensional operation against Venezuela, and you have said the message for the Venezuelan people, and what is the question that you made to the international community? And we also want to know the amount of detainees in this operation, if you have another ties of all the governments beside of the United States and Spain. Thank you. Well, the operations against Venezuela, can you move a little bit? We're always talking about the triangle: Bogota, Spain, and United States. With the arrival of President Petro to Colombia, they have lost a good amount of the comfort to work. It doesn't mean that they don't use it, but they have decided to move to Ecuador now. In Ecuador now is Nieto Quintero. They were waiting there to see Morovi. They're recruiting the setters, criminals from the gangs to try to convince them to come here to Venezuela. They feel comfort now in Ecuador. That United States through the CIA and TAA operate in Venezuela. Always they have done that, and we have survived to their attacks, but is united now to the intelligence center of Spain. And they will have their reasons, but we have ours to defend our homeland. And they have the reason because of the immense amount of richness that there's in our country. They have the reasons because they cannot bear that in Venezuela there is a real project in politics. And the sad thing is that some governments know that that's happening. Heads of government knows that that's happening against Venezuela, and think in their naiveness that they're not going to be in the same situation. They believe that following Venezuela they would spare, but they won't. They're going to get it after. That's why we're obliged to resist with a greatness strength every single one of these attacks, every single one of these actions performed by the United States imperialism. Use of gangs. We can read the manuals from the United States. You can see it's a script. It's a script. The usage of gangs, the no state, the attack to the institution, so no one will respect any institution, is a multi-shaped campaign. And we add now the communications against Venezuela. There is an attack which is vulgar through the networks being associated the owners of the most important of communication networks to attack our country. And from here we're living with the papers, the newspapers, and the computers, and probably this news is not going to even say it, and if they do, it's going to be denied, and we're waiting for it. To you and your operators, of course, there's cowards that never going to set up food in Venezuela because they have the money for it and they don't have any shame on it. Thank you. Good afternoon, Minister. Two things over here. One side, to know what is the firepower that they have here in these weapons. They don't seem to be fit for street incidents. What is the hypothesis that you have of what they were looking this mercenary? And after this, with the Castañeda role that you say that is active military in the United States, I remember when the Operation Didion, it will seem like it were like private mercenaries hired, even it was admitted by Maduro, by the Venezuelan opposition, but now appears active military, which this is another stage. What is the plan? Thank you. Let me see if I have this paper over here where what's the reason to come Castañeda to direct this operation. The United States has a body where they required to speak well Spanish. They tried to come here with a Gideon operation, like a stereotype, not from United States. Can we see a picture of Castañeda, please? A quiet man, and in the interrogation room, he didn't want to speak anything. He was putting his face down. In one of the interrogations, started to send message with the eyes. You can say it's a lie. Send a message with the blinks of his eyes, because they were thinking that we were gonna get it out, because he usually don't blink like that. So he brought a person that could like go quietly to install the operation, and that's a detail that I was missing. All of them got to a hotel in Colombia, was coordinated by German Barilla. Is even in the first page is the rooms reservation. All of them got to Caracas on its route, and they went to Maracay, all of them, to the Aragua state in his travels. We captured this one, this sir, in between La Victoria and La Colonia del Tovar, and he was trained to this operation, to how to behave in an interrogation room. But well, step by step we are putting the frame. We're prepared to defense of the country. And what was the ones that looks mercenaries? Of course, yeah, we have the reservations, of course, but remember that the United States is well care of intervene to other countries with their own soldiers. That's why it enters the Spanish intelligence. we have the entire plan, because they touched someone that shouldn't have touched in this plan. We cannot say anymore because it would be to expose them, but they touch someone that they shouldn't have. And now we have the information of the plan that we have, and then the firepower. This is not a child's play. This, you can imagine, to the criminal groups with this kind of weapons. You can imagine over 400. There are over 400. This is seized already, unarmed. Some of them were being armed, assembled by ourselves, but they were going to give it to the gangs. How many mercenaries could get into Venezuela? We're going to keep the number for ourselves, but basically they were counted with the gangs. And that's where the pseudo politics enters, and the objective was to generate chaos and anarchy and violence. They believed that with this operation they were going to defeat the government. That was the end of it. The purpose to take down the government of President Nicolas Maduro. They're trying to disguise it of other things, and they're talking about reports, but the world knows. The people of the world knows how the United States operates. They don't care at all about anything they are doing, but down deep they want to take the government, the revolutionary government, to take the wealthy of Venezuela. And if they get here, alleged Venezuelans, that they don't love this country better than being accomplice of an attack to its own country, and the United States imperialism is taking the big thing. And that was a plan. It's a coup d'etat. The president has announced it a lot of time. They won't let us be, but we won't be still either. If they move, we're going to encounter us, and we're going to answer, and we're going to defeat them. They're speaking about weapons more than this. Or we have here, by the path that they could be entered, like shipments, we have seized it and is in our power, and that's a hard blow for them, because without the weapons the job is more difficult for them. It's more difficult. It doesn't mean that they're going to desist. Our country, maybe the despair is going to win him. Thank you. The third question. Good afternoon. A few days ago, from the National Parliament, it was given the possibility to study the break-in of the relationships of Venezuela and Spain, taking into consideration of these events. So this fundamentally this breakage of relationship is given. Do you know that Venezuela, Irene, is very respectful of the laws? Is respectful of the regulation, diplomatic regulations, always been. First thing, what is going to answer? I wanted to say what is going to answer Spain of the participation, which is a lie. That's going to be the first thing that they're going to say, and we know that it's not a lie. Now, we could ask how we have relationships, us, with a government that aspired to defeat another government, a government that is trying to haughten us. Yesterday was speaking the lady Cayetana's name. She said that we are from them because they're the mother homeland, and they're obliged to put a foot in the internal affairs of Venezuela. They believe that we are still a colony. The Spain Congress turned into the National Electoral Council of Venezuela, but who are they? They are inside till the neck in the operation against Venezuela, Spain. They are inside till the neck in the operation against Venezuela. The United States is going to open an investigation to determine the Sinonovic participation in this event. No, they're going to protect it, but we are obliged to denounce it, and we're obliged to act with the tightness and the rigor that the case requires. And the national government yesterday was subpoenaed our ambassador, Gladys Gutierrez, was subpoenaed also by the Foreign Affairs Minister, the Spanish ambassador. This is a current investigation, but this is a part also of a bigger play of an attack, a bigger attack against the whole Venezuelan people, against the revolution, yes, but it's against the peace of the country. I want to remember you that are watching citizen from Venezuela, there's no bomb that only kills a Chavista. Collateral damage is considered the victims that has nothing to do with it, and they won't care at all. But ladies and gentlemen, you can be certain that the Bolivarian revolution is going to defend you and your family, even if you're not a Chavista. We're going to defend it, and we're going to take care of you, because the peace of Venezuela is the peace of Latin America, and this whole situation is tied to the moving forward of the fascism. They were expecting that the world buy the fraud in Venezuela, but the countries are not buying that now. They know 25 of the same story to install here in Venezuela a government they have now in Argentina. The fascism moving forward. This gentleman in the knows that they have in their notebooks, they have like to resist this. In this plan, the Czech origin gentleman has a legal pad. I don't know the translation because of course he writes in. Can we see one when we have the both of them? Torture, threat. That's the translation. They're not coming for a picnic here, and we're not going to offer a picnic for them. We're going to face them. And Spain, will see what they would do. And if Spain continues to be inside of the internal affairs of Venezuela or make amendments, they believe they're so big and they're Europeans. That's the translation next to it. Those computers, the phones, everything is speaking. And those two Spaniards are speaking up in the active participation, and they're a part of a mercenary trip that the Spanish government, through the Central Intelligence, are recruiting and calling to attack our country. But I repeat, it's a part of the dynamics of the international relationships, and we will see what happened with. Fourth and last question is made by Good afternoon, Minister. A question related with this case, what would be if you could say the areas where possibly could have given these attacks, and also to make reference or consulting to the alert that this week you presented by the false positive related with drug shipments, and what is the news on this. And also, and just a couple weeks ahead of the United States elections, Trump has said that could be presented a plan for the immigrants of the Venezuelan that are illegally in the United States. What do you think that will be the outcome of the United States supporting, and what is the status of deportation flights that are skimming between the United States and Venezuela. Thank you. Luis, what was the areas attacked? Well, basically the power areas like Miraflores. There's more to say in the documents that we have found to the sword to Mr. Castañeda. The documents are really alike, and in a planned manner, and with a Gideon operation to get to the palace, take this and some to contact some deserters and ex-military that went out of Venezuela, and basically is where the power lies: water, service, electricity, and transportation. He was talking about that because that causes chaos, and you can imagine that this explosive got savers. They would manage to do what they were trying to do in Argentina and embassy. They were going to blame to Venezuela, and these political groups in front of this is Maria Corina Machado. She's aware of this. What is happening in the United States right now is the groups of Maria Corina Machado and Leopoldo Lopez to see who is stealing the money. With respect to the false positive, is a multi-way attack, and the communicational is fundamental. The state is tied to drug trafficking state, and that was making reference to a flight, a plane that they found in Guinea-Bissau coming out of Mexico. That plane was never in Venezuela, but the news said a plane from Venezuela. They got a shipment from Venezuela, but they won't be here. The drug trafficking won't pass here, and the world should know that among the plans of when Guaidó was named president of Narnia was given to Duque, to the drug trafficking and the exit to the Caribbean Sea. Even they were speaking of documents of surrendering all the Guajiras so they could go straight to United States. We fight all the criminal groups. We fight the ones that are drug trafficking, and the United States government knows that. But the United States, we do a lot of harm because they're the greatest consumers of drug, and we have more than 80 tons siege here in Venezuela, and that hurts. And that comes the false positive, and they're accusing us, believing that they're going to demoralize us. But we know that we are in the eye of the hurricane, that we know that we are the crown jewel. We know that the attacks are not going to stop, but we also know the capacity and dignity of our people that is not going to put easy on them. That's why we have a maximum organization and popular organization with an eye in every spot, and that's one of the issues, that gravest issues of the United States. One is the worst of all, is the economy of the United States is not sustained only with the false dollars, and we are very sorry that Venezuela is put there inside of internal affairs of Venezuela. But all of that has to do with the campaign of Venezuela, and that campaign of destabilization for tomorrow. No one can say, oh, glad that intervened in Venezuela, they took down that. That's what they're trying to do. It's like when Otaiza was murdered, and then they have the campaign, or Robert Serri, and they will have the campaign. Some of us has been murdered before, so those are satanization campaigns. But we have to be ready to fight at every front, so the world knows that Venezuela stands under the siege of the United States, that the United States territory is used for the drug traffic, the gun trafficking, to destabilize Venezuela, that the world knows that National Intelligence Center of Spain is put here in these plans, and the physical murder of the president is involved in these plans. But what is not in this plan is that we will conquer and will defeat them again. And they're thinking that we're playing, but this operation is a surprise for them. Simonov knows that it cost the life of a person that was sent to kill because of these weapons, because it was accused of stealing the guns, but we took the guns. And I want, in the name of the revolutionary government and the brother President Nicolas Maduro, to thank all of you. And we're going to spread these words, and we're going to spread, and we will continue to give information according of the events and what we could spread. They know that what I have said is what I can say. They know that we know more than what I'm being saying here, and we must keep it. They are uncovered in front of Venezuela and in front of the world. I want to ask we can ask to make amendments, but we know that we won't do it. But prepare yourself to be defeated again. Thank you very much from here from Venezuela. Big hug to all the free peoples in the world. Take care.
We're listening to the statements of the Interior Minister of Venezuela, Diosdado Cabello, during a press briefing. He was informing the international community and national press also of the latest actions carried out by the far right in coordination with foreign agents to destabilize the government and to bring about the change of government. The Interior Minister reported on the apprehension of several people that were involved in criminal actions, a violent attack to be carried out, like one that was going to be planned against the Argentine embassy in order to blame the Bolivarian government of attacking this diplomatic facility. The Interior Minister also reported the seizure of over 400 weapons of different calibers, assault rifles, guns, shotguns, coming from the States. He also provided video evidence of the direct involvement of the U.S. through the FBI in the shipment of these weapons that were intended to be used by criminal gangs in Venezuela. Mercenaries also coming from abroad to create chaos and create the impression of insecurity in the country. He also mentioned the involvement of the Spanish intelligence. Also, he said the word neck deep in everything that is relating to these destabilizing actions taking place in Venezuela, and he also pledged to carry out working in civic military union for protecting and safeguarding the sovereignty and peace of all Venezuelan people, and they will continue providing updates of these security operations in the future. That's all for the moment. Stay tuned with TeleSUR English for more.